Hey
Hello.
William, how are you?
Hi there. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good, William. So how's the morning?
Yeah, very good. It's quite early, 8 a.m., but yeah, all good here. How's it going on your end? What
Oh,
time's it where you're at?
it's almost mid-afternoon.
Nice. Can you hear me okay, just to
Yes,
check?
yeah, yeah, I can
Great.
hear you good. I can hear you good. So,
Excellent.
William, the Orchid Muse, your debut single, was out late July. So, would you like to tell me a bit about the songwriting and making of the song?
Sure, yeah. So I'm like the composer for the song, the instrumentalist and stuff. It's me and the vocalist is a singer called Pete Rawcliffe. So there's also a little bit of unusual thing in the if you hear the song, it's very kind of soprano opera
Yeah,
symphonic metal. But yeah, the singer is in fact a man, Pete Rawcliffe, who happens to have this kind of exceptional vocal range.
yeah,
So that's a bit unusual. So the two of us made the song together. He did the voice and he wrote the lyrics and the melody, and I basically put the music together, and I produced it and such. Um, yeah. Th- what's kind of another sort of unique facet to it is that it's essentially like a concept artist, right? Urania Fantasia. So
yeah,
Urania is a character, the character that is singing the song that Pete essentially performs. And the character is kind of like this angelic muse type character, like a magical kind of divine being, uh, and therefore completely androgynous. Therefore, this kind of thing with the voice and stuff. Um, and yeah, and basically that character is a part of a wider universe that we've created. And that's like the main thing that I do. We call it the Lavanaverse, and it's essentially like a universe of musical artists. So there's been a few that we've already done, like Flavor Nurse, another one called Yarima, and going forward, there's going to be a lot more artists that come from this universe. Um, but yeah, Urania is the latest one, and I'm really happy of this track. It was absolute pleasure working with Pete. He's a phenomenal talent, and yeah, been loving it. People have received the song really well, and that's just yeah, great.
yes, yes. And what was the exact concept behind the Orchid Muse?
Yeah, so well, I've touched upon it a little bit there, but the muse is kind of like, as I say, they're sort of like a divine being. The part of the universe they're from is the kind of like magical, mystical sort of fantasy part. Um, and so the character is essentially kind of like one with the elements, as it were. Like the lyrics and the song. This song, because it's the first one for Urania, is really kind of like a defining introduction to the character. So in the lyrics, Urania is talking about how they're like the voice in between the leaves, and like um therefore like all of the kind of elements and the sounds you hear are kind of like embodied by this character. And now this character has essentially like fully manifested themselves into like three-dimensional form, to come and actually like deliver like vocal performances to us, as it were, kind of as like a big or I've put like an ethereal diva. One of the influences was, have you seen the movie The Fifth Element?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So when Pete and I were first talking about it, there's this character, right? The diva character, who's
Yeah.
kind of like an alien who's singing like opera, and everybody's like crying in the crowd because they're so moved by how beautiful this voice is. That was kind of the premise we were going for this character, but just a bit more of like a magical elf kind of
Yeah.
version. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. And I believe the artwork somehow brings resembles whatever you just told me, I believe.
Yeah. So the artwork is like the depiction of the character is
Yes.
like obviously this very kind of like androgynous, as you
Mm,
say, yeah, what I've described basically kind of diva character. Like the idea with the character is that obviously they could shapeshift sort of quite a lot because yeah, they're sort of extra dimensional in that way. But the idea is that they've basically come into this physical form to perform to us now. And the artwork is actually based on Pete, like
mm,
Pete's face,
yeah.
basically. So really the character is kind of meant to be sort of almost like an alter ego of
Mm,
Pete, like parallel universe version of him. So yeah.
yes. Yes. And would you like to tell me a bit about the Love Anarchy company?
Yeah, sure. So the Love Anarchy company is basically what I set up to run all of this stuff.
Mm,
Um, I call it Love Anarchy Co, right? But my idea there is that the co doesn't just stand for company, but more
mm,
also community and collective. Because the way I see it is the company basically runs the admin, right?
yeah.
And we have a record label, and it runs all of that. But really, it's the community and the collective that we're looking to build around that are really gonna create the real value. Um, so so yeah, Love Anarchy kind of represents all of that, and as a company or as just a business in general, um, we do a couple of things. We have the record label Love Anarchy Records, which I set up, and Love Anarchy Records puts out all of the stuff from Lovaniverse,
Mm,
like Urania. Um, but we also have another branch of our label that basically I I would say is more traditional as a record label, but actually even there, I'm looking to gear it more in a way that's actually about helping support artists kind of get that, especially that first leg up. So so yeah, it's not so like we actually don't own the rights or anything of their music. We always keep artists essentially kind of independent in that way, whilst really just kind of looking to support them. And yeah, and so from there, from helping external projects and from creating our own with this universe, we're essentially looking to build this community for Love Anarchy where creative people and fans and just anyone who wants to get involved really can come and be a part of it, and we can just
amazing.
create awesome things together.
It's amazing. A great initiative. So wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
thank you.
And and what is your plans for Urania Fantasia in the coming days?
So the plans for Urania, we've put this song together. Yeah, it was a lot of work between Pete and I. It was a real kind of like passion project. Um, and yeah, we're really happy with how it's gone. Uh, Essentially, we would absolutely love to do more of the same, to release more songs like that, potentially bring on some other collaborators as well, and of course build that towards a full album. I think that would be fantastic. I think the response to Urania has been good enough to justify that. But it perhaps will take a little time because the nature of what I'm describing here, there are kind of
Yeah.
many facets to it, and so there'll likely be new Lavaniverse artists, or releases coming out from other ones probably before another Urania release. Um, but yeah, the response has been great for this one, which is very encouraging. And Pete and I have been speaking about it, and we definitely want to move forward with some more material sooner rather than later. So that's that.
Amazing. 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 And any plans to take Urania on live shows?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So like at first, like no, not in general, like that's not necessarily the focus, because as I'm kind of explaining the bigger picture with this project, we are naturally approaching things more as studio projects with
Mm,
the characters and such. But that that certainly doesn't limit like the possibilities of what we can do. I'm always considering options and open to opportunities. Um, I would love to, you know, potentially in the future put on like a kind of theatrical show, either, you know, if it demanded it from one artist like Urania, potentially, or maybe the Lavaniverse, like sort of all together, where a bunch of the artists and stuff would all kind of come and interact in a kind of theatrical show. Um, yeah, that would be interesting. But I'm also looking into the capabilities of doing these kind of things virtually as well, right?
Yeah.
Because the climate is kind of changing there, and there's all kinds of exciting developments going on. So yeah, in the future, I definitely envision live performances, as it were. Um, but yeah, they might be a little more geared towards the virtual world.
And are you involved in all the other projects that comes to the Love universe?
At the moment, I am. Yeah. Like so, I yeah, I basically started all the kind of initial
Mhm.
batch of projects, and I, you know, as a composer and a producer or whatnot, I've had this kind of backlog of all these things I've made over years. Um, Going forward, though, it certainly doesn't need to stay that way. It doesn't have to be that like Lavaniverse is me. Basically, that's not really the way I envision it. I'm certainly looking to include more and more people. I think at the moment, I kind of envision myself having a sort of like executive producer role where I can kind of get other producers, other writers, and I can put them together, but I'm sort of overseeing it. I think that that's what we'll work towards, and ultimately, like, it will grow out into a bigger thing where, yeah, you'll have all kinds of singers and musicians and producers, writers, artists, all sorts working on it. That's the idea.
Yeah. Wonderful. And for talking about the future of Urania, do you have plans to make more diverse kind of music to be involved into the band?
So, what kind of music? Sorry.
Like, do you bring in a lot of collaboration, and will there be a lot of genre change when it comes to the future of the music in Urania?
With Urania, possibly. Like, so, kind of going into the idea, like the concept of it, as well. The idea of like arcane, and like the concept of the character is that like it's made up of all the different elements, right? So there, I think there's this inherent versatility that should be there, and even in that first song, it's very dynamic. You know, like it's going through all kinds of different dynamic shifts, and Pete's voice is in different regions and tonalities and all sorts. So we definitely want that versatility to be there. But there is also definitely like confines to work within, which is the uranium music is always going to be based around Pete's voice for sure. Um, and yeah, it's definitely got this home in essentially like operatic symphonic metal. I But from there, the kind of different embellishments and stuff that we can use, yeah, that may be free to almost change from song to song, you know, in terms of like, yeah, perhaps this you know, song may have more of a ethnic flavor from this mixed with this kind of fantasy, you know, and another one different. But yeah, it will definitely keep this kind of core of sort
Yeah.
of progressive symphonic metal sort of style, yeah.
Wonderful. And talking about now Anarchy company, you also have it
Mhm.
as a part of a recording label kind of stuff. So do you invite
Yeah.
other bands to get signed up with your recording label?
Yeah, so I mentioned that a little bit. Yeah, we have Love Anarchy Records, which, yeah, it's basically just because I've needed to gather all the infrastructure to be able to do all this. And you know, as I mentioned, I'm really always been kind of about community and camaraderie with other artists and such. So yeah, absolutely. We open it up to kind of like-minded creators and stuff, and try and basically work out arrangements with them that, you know, can be really kind of sort of mutually beneficial, but like as I mentioned, doesn't kind of like get them signed up to anything like too, you know, difficult this early stage in their career. You know, it's really about kind of giving them that leg up. And yeah, I'm basically I'm going to be opening up more sort of placements there and opportunities like very very soon. Uh, for now, people can get in contact with me for sure if they're interested in learning more about that. Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things to come in terms of what we're going to be able to do with other artists and you know signing them to the label and stuff for sure.
Amazing. And what would be some of the upcoming plans for you?
So my upcoming plans, yeah, well, to keep doing all of this stuff, which certainly keeps my hands full. Um, yeah, the last thing that I just mentioned there is certainly a big thing that I'm looking at now, which is like expanding the business basically to be able to offer a lot more to artists and to build our community and therefore offer lots more in the way of incentives for being involved in that as well. Um, that's a big focus for me. But yeah, Lovaniverse plays into all of that, and that's my kind of real creative passion, as it were. So yeah, there's all sorts there as well. One thing that I'm really looking to do with Lovaniverse now is consolidate the brand a bit to make it a bit more accessible because some people are finding our music through Urania or something like that, and then they're like, "Oh, what's Lavaniverse?" And then it's like, "Whoa!" They're quite overwhelmed by the fact that we have all of these worlds and lore, and they don't know where to start. So we're certainly going to be doing more to kind of present it in a more accessible way. We've started to do some YouTube videos, like short ones that um, introduce you to the concept more, with music and with imagery and stuff. So yeah, there's going to be more of that coming, and there's going to be more music coming. I've actually written and well recorded, or at least have the entire demo of this metal opera that I've written. It's a bit of an unusual metal opera though, because it's kind of like a very sort of silly, over the top kind of death metal opera. So if you know like Metalocalypse,
Yeah.
Death Clock, or something like that, it's definitely in that kind of vein. Um, yeah, there's going to be all kinds of music and stuff coming. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And William, finally, what would be the message that you want to give to the fans and to the people who are new to Urania?
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. I'm really glad that you've enjoyed the Urania song, especially. Pete and I are super proud of that. So the feedback has really meant a lot to us. Yeah, the main thing I would say is stick with us because there is so much to come. Like we're really just getting started, and as I say, it's going to be all about community, and that means that we're going to be looking to involve everyone in this whole process as much as we can. So stick around. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, like William J. Rogers Music. Pete as well is really active on there, which is his at Pete_Rawcliffe. Just reach out to us. We're super approachable, and we'll tell you about ways that you can get more involved. And soon you're going to see a lot more out about directly what you can do. So yeah.
It's awesome. And William, I want to thank you so much for giving me today this wonderful
Uh,
opportunity to talk about
no, thank you
Urania
so much.
and to talk about Love Anarchy as well. So thank you so much for bringing us amazing music and for all the great work you've been doing. And looking forward to
Thank you.
work along with you and see more music out from you guys. Thanks so much for everything.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure. You have a good day. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.